Welcome everyone to this episode of Attack the Track. We are attacking the Nürburgring today. The Nürburgring features 9 left-hand turns, 6 right-hand turns and go up to 3 heavy braking zones depending on whether you run the chicane or non-chicane version. It's a high downforce level track and the chassis needs to be ready to be able to ride the high curbs. We're gonna have a look at an onboard qualification lap from the Virtual Endurance Championship first. The LMP2 car is a really rigid suspension car, so the overall chassis is really stiff, therefore got its issues riding the big curb. Nevertheless, the lap will be a good explanation. As we go into turn 1, you need to make sure to hit the apex and go through that hole in order to get the transition, to get the traction. Turn 2 is a late apex turn before you go into 3 and 4, whereas 3 and 4 both rely on each other to a certain extent, as the exit of 3 defines the entry into 4. Coming up to turn 5 and 6, basically a long chicane, but again, the exit of 5 will influence the entry of 6. Coming towards turn 7, a double apex hairpin at the bottom of the track up towards the Schumacher as a fast left-right chicane. No overtaking there. Also following in dirty air sometimes is a bit of an issue. Before we come into 10 and 11, once again 10, you don't want to compromise the entry into 11 too much, so make sure that you compromise your turn 10 in order to be good and fast in turn 11. Now coming up to the fast chicane, so the Nürburgring version without the tight chicane. In the LMP2 you can take and should take as much curb as possible to optimize the lap time. This may be different with other cars though. We will go into detail of that right now, because we're not only looking at a lap done in the LMP2 car, but also with the Formula Simracing car. So once again, the chassis needs to be able to ride the high curbs, and we are here on a high downforce level. So we're starting a lap in the Formula Simracing 2020 car, looking at the lap from an F1 point of view, and the key location, turn 1, is the best overtaking spot by far. It has a downhill braking zone, which makes things interesting, and you need to nail the apex. Once again, the exit will define the approach into turn 2, and turn 2 is a late apex turn as indicated here with a little arrow in the track map. So let's have a look into turn 1 first. You want to be really at the apex. You see there is a little of a hole which you need to get the power down, so as soon as the compression kicks in you should get the power down. So once again, the best overtaking spot, you do downhill braking, and nailing the apex is so vital, because if you nail the apex, you don't go too wide, and the exit predefines the turn 2 approach. So we have a little look there into the slow-mo, and we're turning into turn 1 right to nail the apex here, and we're going to stop the picture here for a short moment, and then I have highlighted the red area as being the hole where the compression comes into as soon as you go over there. So also where you can see that arrow, that's when you want to pick up the throttle again, as we are now touching the curb, and then go and sort of drop down that hill. And I've indicated what happens to the suspension, so the area where to look at is highlighted. Right now the compression is the suspension is decompressed and now gets compressed, and that is the moment when you can get the maximum traction down, because there's so much downforce, so much force on the rear axis pushing the car down for perfect traction. Then after a short acceleration sprint to turn 2, you want to turn on late on the apex. I've hinted the apex with a yellow arrow there, and then you come straight immediately to key location 3-4. It's a single way combination where you need to sacrifice turn 3 for turn 4. I've indicated this here. The red line is the line that is surely fastest, because when you hit the green arrow you can go and accelerate through turn 4 and take maximum speed out of 4. However, if you are going out too wide from turn 3 with an orange line, you need a lift right there where the yellow arrow is and lose vital time on the exit. So we have a look on how this turn is taken. As you've seen, you're not on the very outside line, because here is when you want to be on the very inside, and that's easiest to do if you kind of steer towards the turn first, and then turn 4 is actually maximizing the exit speed. On to the sprint we go to turn 5 and 6. Once again, don't go too wide on the T5 exit, and most importantly, stay on the inside curb and turn 6 and be patient with the acceleration, because as you can see right now, we're not going too wide from the T5 exit, so we have a good entry into turn 6. Sadly, I missed the turning point just a little bit, but you've seen you need to be really patient in order to be fast there. Looking at turn 7, the Dunlop curve, it's a classic tight white tight line. You need to treat it like a double apex 180-degree turn, and you need to make use of the banking of the corner. Once again, we look at this turn considerably fast. We're in the banking right now, tight, wide, tight again, and on the throttle considerably early. So again, the banking is between the both yellow lines, and the green line, the green arrow, was the location where you should be on the throttle again. So I'm highlighting this here once again, stopping the car. This is the gap between the inside tire and the curb, so the first apex. Then you go a little wide and further decrease the speed, and then you start to accelerate again while the tires still look very much to the inside curb again, and then you take that yellow path that brings you back to the second apex. So already under quite amount of power, now kissing the second apex again and giving you the maximum momentum, the maximum acceleration out of turn 7. You can touch the curb here, then go up to the Schumacher as turn 8, 9. There's late apex into turn 9, into turn 8, as you want to straight line turn 9 as much as you possibly can with the least amount of steering input. But more importantly, we need to look at turn 10 and 11. Once again, turn 10 sets up the entry for 11, and you need to have a late apex for turn 11 to have a good speed out of that turn, because the back straight is very important where you can really set up your car for an attack. And we're gonna have a more closely look at this. So the exit is vital for the back straight speed, and that's the preparation point for an attacking or in defense. So at the green arrow, you really want to be on the throttle, you really want to attack the straight already. And as you've seen us right here, we're also already into the turn, and now this is the late apex where we just approach and kiss the inside curb. I've stopped the picture here once again, and then you need to be full power, open the steering as early as possible just to let the car go. And unlike the LMP2 car we saw before, this FSR car is easily able to mount those curbs. So this is one of the spots where a rigid car makes issues. Then coming into the key location, turn 13, 14, we're looking at the fast chicane first. Nailing 13 is important for the lap time speed, because you want to straight line as much as possible through this chicane. And here, the FSR car cannot handle the curbs, whereas the LMP2 car can handle it. Short word about the T13, 14 location, you really want to be on the inside first. So very tight on the inside curb, and then maximize your way through the turn 14. Depending on the car, like a GT3 car can handle the high curb on turn 14. The FSR car would not be able to handle the anti-cut curb in turn 14. Then a short sprint up to turn 15. Late apex again for the exit speed, and once again exit speed is super vital, as you need to set up the car for attack or defend into turn 1, and I recommend a wide entry to begin your qualifying lap. We're gonna have a look at this on fast speed, of course, so a little bit wide, then come tight to the apex and then let the car go on the exit. I've highlighted this once again with a little drawing, making sure that you see the apex is quite in the later part of the circuit. Guys, that is Attack the Track of the Nürburgring. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope that you give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more of Attack the Tracks to come.